One of the many ways in which news media misinforms consumers about real estate is by placing enormous significance on month-to-month statistics. If the price growth data from one source says the growth last month was less than the month before, then according to media, the good times are over and we're headed for a downturn, apparently. Terminology such as nosedive, plummet, and fall off a cliff start to populate headlines right across the media spectrum. And then next month, the numbers may show a rise in the monthly rate of price growth, and then suddenly the market's booming again. And media words like soar and skyrocket and supercharge will litter the airwaves. The reality is that month-to-month data is meaningless, whether it's median prices or rents or building approvals or vacancy rates or sundry other data sets. The change from one month to the next tells us nothing that matters. 1 month does not constitute a trend. If the decline in the rate of price growth is evident again next month and the month after, and if other research sources publish figures with a similar message, then perhaps we can start to attribute some significance to the data. But often the month-to-month figures are up and down. The graph is seldom smooth. Media got carried away in early August when the new monthly price report from CoreLogic indicated that dwelling values nationally rose 0.7% in July. The previous month in June, they rose 1.1%, according to CoreLogic. Now, it's important to remember that there are other sources which have different figures, be they PropTrack or Domain or SQM Research or the Australian Bureau of Statistics. But CoreLogic, the biggest media tarts in the business, never let the facts get in the way of free publicity, so they milked the small decrease in the rate of month-to-month growth for all it was worth, even though it was essentially worth less. It said that the figures mean that markets are slowing down, but I would suggest that there's no significance in the numbers at all. It's a generalised national figure, which is meaningless if you live in Brisbane or in Sydney or in Perth or regional Queensland or regional South Australia, all of which grew by a lot more than that 0.7% generalised figure in July, according to this one source, which is one source amongst many. It's even worse with auction clearance rates. These figures are published weekly, and if this week's alleged clearance rate is lower than last week's alleged clearance rate, then massive significance is attached to the numbers by media. Now, this happened in early August when one of the clearance rate gurus declared that the preliminary clearance rate had slipped below 70%. It was only marginally under the apparently magical figure of 70%, but media went to town on that one as well. Then there's building approval figures, often the most volatile of the data sets. Disaster was predicted recently when the latest figures from the Bureau of Statistics found that dwelling approvals fell 8% in June, with media attributing great importance to the dire downturn. But the previous month in May, there'd been a 20% increase in dwelling approvals. Now, who knows what the next set of official figures will show for building approvals in July. The only certainty is that the media will sensationalise whatever the results are, thereby adding to that great seething mass of misinformation that afflicts real estate consumers across Australia.